You will be a better teacher, better lawyer, carpenter, office manager, accountant, housewife, reader, or practitioner if you are rejoicing in the Lord. Our work is done more quickly, more effortlessly, more successfully when we are serving with joy and gladness. It is so much easier to demonstrate the right sense of home, companionship, supply, employment, harmonious relationships with our fellow man if we claim the joy that is ours. Not only is it true that pouring in the oil of gladness benefits all of our affairs, but it benefits our bodies, our health. If we wish to be healthy, we should take great doses of the oil of gladness. There is absolutely no better medicine. Way back in the days of Solomon, Solomon himself recognized that man's health was influenced by joy when he said, "A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." Proverbs 17:22. Did you ever hear of a supremely happy individual manifesting heart trouble, skin disease, arthritis, rheumatism, digestive difficulties, tuberculosis, or cancer? No, none of these things can be manifested when supreme happiness on the basis of God's allness is being constantly manifested. In fact, no matter what the physical claim may be, one of the most important steps in annihilating the error is to help the patient find his true happiness. Joy and gladness heal. Remember, Jesus asked the palsied man to rejoice before he was healed. A second reader in one of our churches in my home city suddenly found herself unable to walk. The condition proved embarrassing to her as well as alarming, because here it was the end of the week and she was supposed to read Sunday and introduce a lecture Monday night. It seemed that the harder that she worked in science, the worse became her condition. Finally, she stopped working. She turned to God and said, "Father, if I never walk again, I know that you are my loving Father, Mother God, and I am your image and likeness." She said in giving her testimony that she was so happy, so thrilled, so blissful in the knowledge that God was her Father, Mother, that she honestly didn't care if she ever walked again. It was then that she was healed. She was so thrilled, so happy, so satisfied, so contented that God was her Father, Mother, that absolutely nothing else was important, not even walking. No wonder she had her healing. She was literally putting God first, and the walking was added unto her. Do you remember that in the opening testimony I brought out a couple of times that regardless of what came up in the body or in the affair of these individuals, they absolutely refused to be concerned, and they rejoiced that wonderful things were taking place? I am asking all of you today to adopt that same joyous approach to things. Regardless of what appears to take place in your bodies or in your affairs, maintain your joy. Argue and plead for the case of happiness. Demonstrate boundless bliss on the basis that God is the source of your joy and happiness, and therefore it can never be taken from you. Then you too will be seeing wonderful things taking place. How would you rate yourself as a Christian Scientist? Positive or negative? Remember that in the testimony given, it was the positive attitude as well as the joyous attitude which brought about such wonderful results. Do you accept the truth wholeheartedly without any reservation? If you do, then you are positive. If error seems to present itself, do you instantly reverse it and substitute the truth? If so, you are positive. Are you absolutely sure and certain that God is all and that everything is perfect? Rate yourself positive. Are you constant, consistent, unwavering, steadfast, and even stubborn in standing with the truth? If so, rate yourself A+ for positive. What about your expectation? Are you always expecting wonderful things to happen? Do you have absolute faith that only good can come to pass? If so, there is a bit of convincing evidence that you are positive. I'm sure that it would be impossible to find a negative Christian Scientist in this association. Here are some bits of evidence which point to negative Christian scientists. The individual hopes that he can be healed, rather than knowing that he will be. The one who thinks that Christian Science works for everybody else but not for him. And the individual who is always thinking of expecting that the worst will happen. Then you've heard of this attitude. Well, it's just too good to be true. And what about such comments as, oh yes, I know I'm really perfect, but I certainly don't manifest it. Or, I have a rich heavenly Father, but he hasn't shared any of his wealth with me. Then there's the individual who is sure one minute and not so sure the next, standing steadfast in the truth one day, but wavering the next, resolving never to give up the perfect concept and then giving it up at the very first presentation of error. Aren't you glad that none of these descriptions that might apply to a negative Christian Scientist fits you? Listen to what the dictionary has to say about the word positive, and you will see that it is a qualification which is essential to being a Christian Scientist. Confident, certain, sure. And I love this added bit, aggressively certain. In knowing that God is all, and that he is expressing himself, and therefore the results have to be wonderful, how much more thrilling it is to be confident, certain, sure, rather than to lack confidence, to be uncertain, unsure. Another definition is leaving no doubt. There certainly isn't much doubt as to the outcome of an individual's experience when you hear him say, I'm not concerned about anything. Wonderful things are taking place. In our own thinking, in our own contemplation, in our own praying, there should never be any doubt about the allness of God and the perfection of his creation. There should be only the absolute conviction that God is all and that everything is perfect. And oh, how important it is in sharing of our thinking with others that our every statement carries a ring of sureness, confidence, conviction that good is supreme, and therefore that God's blessings are ever at hand.